My car on straight diesel has a lower carbon footprint per mile than a Tesla does when charged at home, and it's cheaper to drive per mile, and we have the infrastructure. Period. Okay, and it's affordable. So right then and there, the entire leftist narrative on EVs being better for the environment, I crushed it. Yeah, so the Omega car here. You want to talk about that thing, huh?
Yeah, let's give everybody your background and like,
oh God,
kind of like just let's give them some context at least, because you're a pretty interesting dude.
Oh, I grew up in Northwest Ohio. Family business was a small golf course. My dad was a car guy. You know, grew up riding in a Ford Model 8, a '67 Corvette, and British cars. You know,
yeah,
loved slot cars, loved all that. Loved trains when I was a kid, animals, that sort of thing. And you know, young men, you want a cool car. Grew up in the '80s. You want a Tesla, you want a Countach or something. Can't afford it.
Yep.
Who can work on this stuff, especially before the internet, right? I want a DeLorean. My dad's like, no way. Who can work on that? So you got to learn, right? And we always had to fix our own stuff, you know, family business. You know, my granddad was a World War II vet, Battle of Okinawa. He was a solid American. We all fix our own things. You take responsibility for yourself to figure out a way. And I wanted cool cars. I wanted fast cars. So you take pride in what you have and where you're at, and you learn to fix it up. But then you got to think about, hey, if I buy this thing, can I get my money out of it? Or can I make money and trade up? Can I keep going if I don't magically have a business or career that's going to allow me to buy anything I want? And so that was just kind of the mindset that drove that. And I always wanted to race, love going fast. That was kind of my sport, or fencing, like martial arts and that sort of thing, and kind of grew a drive there. And, you know, just journey through life, it's all about the cars and building cool things. I built what was known as the world's only turbine-powered Batmobile about 15 years ago. I built an exact replica of the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton film, Batmobile.
You still have it?
No, sold it a long time ago, but I powered it by what it was in fiction. I sourced a Vietnam-era drone anti-submarine turboshaft engine. It was made by Boeing. Most of them, I guess, were pushed into the ocean after the war, but found this one. Worked perfect for adapting to a modified automatic transmission driving the wheels. So that was really cool. So I've done things like this.
What did that come off of?
The engine?
Yeah.
A drone anti-submarine helicopter from Vietnam.
Dude.
No joke. It's called the Dash drone anti-submarine helicopter. It was launched from boats that could travel like 70 miles away, carry 2 torpedoes. So it was counter-rotating props like the early drones that kids would
So
have.
this is a helicopter engine in the car?
Yeah, yeah.
This thing looks crazy.
It idled at 20,000 RPMs, had a maximum usable gas generator. Yeah, there it is right there. There's the engine. Of 40,000 RPMs on the gas generator, had 2 tachometers, one for the gas generator, one for the output shaft. Driving the transmission, I would just shift based upon the RPM range of the driving side, and then you just monitor your gas generator. So in a sense, it's kind of weird because you got a gearbox, and I know we're talking about the Batmobile now, but instead of the Omega car, but it's a good tangent, right? It was kind of weird because driving it was in a weird sort of way, kind of like a sailboat. Because you're being powered by thrust, by power internally. It was almost kind of like this, like the windy hand of God is thrusting your car forward. So it was really, really cool. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Dude, we covered this. We covered this in the thumbs up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we covered that.
Yeah, dude,
this
I built
is your
that.
car. Yeah.
Yeah, I've roasted marshmallows on that exhaust with my fencing rapier.
That's crazy.
You know, I took this thing to the clubs back in Columbus. Let me park on the street and
Did you put real guns on it?
No, those are Simfire Browning 30 cals, which
Yeah.
is what in the movie, but it's powered by oxygen and propane on a computer-controlled circuit with a couple solenoids. So you get the cadence of the fire. You wouldn't have the projectile breaking the sound barrier, but you'd also get the nice muzzle flash.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. This is what I do with small resources, man. Someday, if I actually have Bruce Wayne resources, it's going to get fun. Yeah, that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
That's badass.
It came out,
dude.
came out good.
Crazy.
How long did it take you to do that?
I think I did it in like 5 months.
So you were doing it all day long.
Just rocking and rolling. Pretty efficient, you know. How'd
you make the body?
Honestly, the body was already made, believe it or not, and it sourced it because the movie, the stunt cars were built by a studio in England, right? And as the story goes, Six Flags Amusement Park got a license to do live action shows after the movie. They needed stunt cars, so those prop cars were floating around. And then I guess somebody made molds, and you can find one every now and then.
Huh?
Yeah. So I cut up a C4 Corvette. I use the suspension and bulkheads to do that. Use the same, the transmission out of it, because I actually had adapted that General Motors 4-speed to it. In fact, those are the Corvette seats. I just vinyl painted them black to make it work, and had to, basically make my own space frame with the bulkheads and stuff. And then it's still titled as a Corvette, and I just insured it as a modified vehicle. That there is my Corvette.
Bro, that's wild.
Yeah.
How much horsepower that thing make?
I think it was better part of 400, something like that. Yeah, and it was a light engine, so the whole car didn't really weigh that much. I didn't weigh it.
Did it sound like a turbine?
Yeah, it idled at $20,000.
That's crazy, dude.
It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, there's the engine. No, that was cool. But the Omega car, so I built things like this and some other cool things. Did a full-scale flying pterosaur replica and things like that just for fun. But this came about because back in 2008, I didn't really care that much about politics back then. Okay, I was still a younger man. Like in my 20s, I was way more interested in, what's the next fast car I can get, and was it pretty women I can go out with. That's what I cared about: fast cars and pretty women.
And not necessarily in that order.
They make that's a good joke about Kentucky. It's all about beautiful horses and fast women.
Yeah.
And so 08 was coming around, right? And Obama was the hot tick, and he's talking. I'm listening to him, and I didn't think much about policy. I'm just watching, with friends, like, what's going on. I remember him in the Democratic National Convention going on this big thing and how he's going to retool Detroit so the energy fuel efficient cars of tomorrow built here for the sake of the nation and world. And that just struck me as bullshit. I'm like, you're not Kennedy. This is not, we're going to the moon within 10 years kind of a statement. It's not going to happen. And that stuck with me. And, we had the financial crisis in 08. And then a few years later, I'm looking at what the automotive industry is going on with the bailouts and stuff. And we're doubling down on, muscle cars and big trucks. And come on, man, I love muscle cars and big trucks. And if you can afford the fuel, do what you want. It's America, right? Don't force me to do something. But I'm thinking, this is also BS. Something's off here. We're not actually doing anything. I'm looking around, I still vividly remember thinking about this riding around on my motorcycle. And I was researching various materials and kind of, different manufacturing techniques and stuff, because I always like to think about, like, what cool thing can I build next, And one day it hit me. I'm like, there's a myriad of ways to make a cost-effective, strong, more recyclable, energy-efficient structures that we can build cars with. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I just had to do it. It was like a flash. And I said, electric's starting to be a thing, but nobody knows what the heck a kilowatt hour is. So I'm gonna make it be diesel, because everybody understands a mile per gallon. And my goals are, I want it 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. I want it cracking 100 miles to gallon. And I figured those two things people will understand. And if I build a car that is recyclable and representative of what we can actually do, because you can put any drivetrain in good design and engineering philosophies. That's what the car represents: good design and engineering philosophies with mass production, right? But I did diesel because people understood that. You can make it whatever you need to be. And so I built it over the course of the year, kind of got burned out. I showed it at the Pittsburgh Cars and Coffee Hangar Party and did like a talk. And I think I talked too long and bored them or whatever, but and I did it. And then I realized I don't have a voice. If I finish this thing at the numbers and stuff, nobody's going to know it. It's not going to matter. And so I just left it in my garage for a better part of 10 years. I know it sounds crazy, and some people are like, you're telling me you built this thing back. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. And
it looks a lot better than a Tesla too.
Yeah, it does.
I agree. Thank you. It's form following function. I had a goal and wanted it to be good looking. Okay, so I said way back when I started building, I was like 2013. I wanted to 0 to 60 under 5 seconds, over 100 miles a gallon. Wanted to represent something that'd be more sustainable, recyclable, it'd be cheap and people could buy. Because, like, I tell you this, I've never bought a new car in my life. Not one. Maybe someday I will, but one, who can afford to lose money depreciation for no reason?
The moment you pull off the parking lot.
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense. Not going to do it. But anyway, I want to do something better because they're talking about it not happening. Well, in that 10 years I've been doing Genius Garage and all what's sitting around, a lot has changed. Okay. The left push for EV mandates is coming to play big time. Tesla's coming to prominence. We've had more radicalized politics. We've had people not being able to understand reality anymore, just going with propaganda and such. And last year, big year, election year, I mean, I would say the direction of the world is largely at stake. And I'm like, okay, EV mandates are going on. It's going to be Kamala or Trump. Like, first of all, these EV mandates are the worst possible thing for the automotive industry. They will destroy all innovation, and I know what.
Not only that, they're bad for the environment.
Oh, it's a total superficial joke.
Yeah.
It's such a joke.
It's about control, bro. They want to be able to control the power to your home and control where you go and all
Absolutely.
that shit. Yeah.
100%. And the only thing I have to say is fight back on the BS and the narrative and the lies if you see it. But that also doesn't mean that we go so far the other direction we just destroy the environment. Like I actually like the environment and conservation, hunting and fishing and stuff. So let's be cool, reasonable human beings, but let's not go along with the lies anymore. So I think it's fair to say, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, nobody wants to destroy the environment, but we have to acknowledge the reality of the environment, which is this. The environment takes a lot of carbon dioxide to produce the amount of oxygen that we need.
Yeah.
And the carbon dioxide balance compared to what it is now to 50 years ago or 100 years ago or anything, it's the environment is a self-adjusting ecosystem.
That's accurate.
So when we talk about, oh, well, there's more people and more this and more that, yeah, there is. But also there's more people consuming the byproducts of that.
True.
So like the whole environmental argument is actually a pretty low IQ argument.
Correct.
Because you're the only people that truly believe in it. There's two kinds. It's like vegans, bro. Vegans believe in veganism for one of two reasons. Some believe it's healthy. It is not healthy. Others believe it's morally an issue, which I can relate to that.
They enjoy feeling good.
Okay,
about
that's
themselves.
okay. If you're a moral vegan,
Cool.
I can respect that.
Cool.
But you are not healthier because you are a vegan. If you are a moral environmentalist, meaning you just don't want to see shit, you don't want to see oil on birds and you don't want to see cups in the street and shit everywhere, that's fine. I agree. I'm with you, dude.
That's how you run your business. Everybody cleans up.
Fuck, dude. I'm with you. I don't want to see that shit either. I care a lot about that. I care a lot about all those things. But when we start talking about electric cars being better for the environment, when you're stripping out all these irreplaceable minerals to create the batteries,
tell
lithium,
black kids in the lithium and cobalt mines in the Congo.
yes,
right.
that are being mined by human slaves.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the whole lie that it is better for the environment is, I mean, bro, it's a massive lie. And I can't, it's hard for me to respect anybody that even believes it.
That comes from that argument.
Because they're not looking past the surface level bullshit they're being sold. So, but I mean, if you want to, so you believe in pollution? No, I don't at all. But just, I don't believe in bullshit.
Last year on that, right, with the world narrative, I'm like, I got to speak up. I got to take a stance. And the other thing was like, I didn't actually test this thing at the numbers. It works, but it's only what I thought it would do in my head way back when. And I called it on video. I said this on video 11 years ago. Actually, I put down one of the beginnings. So I go, okay, measure distance, driving normally through the countryside. I didn't even have the fairings on. I didn't have it full tuned. I'm just like, we're going to drive this. I'm going to fill the metal tank exactly to this level, exactly. And I've got a graduated thing. I can measure fractions of an ounce. I'm going to drive it normally, stop sign, start it up, drive it, stop signs, turns, everything, come back, measure it. 104.72 miles a gallon first try. It will get better. That's with no tuning or anything else. Just, okay, done. Next day, I need 0 to 60 times with comps. Because the other thing, a lot of 0 to 60 times with, manufacturing stuff is kind of a lie. It's a rollout and whatnot, perfect conditions, sticky tires and all that. Okay, great. So I'm going to run my 93 Dodge Viper RT10, good old-fashioned American big car. I don't know, what's that thing at 15 miles a gallon? Great. It's fine. It's a good car. Not vilifying. I'm just saying. Okay, we'll do that. Got a 2019 Corvette Grand Sport. Let's use it. It's kind of a modern car. I got my neighbor's Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive, to be fair. They're all rear-wheel drive. And I got accelerometers and GPS. So next day I did it. Ran the Viper a few times, like 4.8 seconds. Tire's a little older. Ran this 4.61 seconds. The Grand Sport was also 4.61 seconds. And the Tesla Model 3, the best it could do was 4.6 flat, 1/100th of a second. And it progressively got slower as the charge went down because I did it with full charge, to be fair. So I'm like, okay, so it's as fast as the Tesla is. It's getting 104 miles a gallon. It's like a cheap recyclable car. Something would be like $20,000 on the market. So then I thought about it. And I'm like, hey, what's the carbon footprint of burning 1 gallon of diesel? EPA's got numbers. Cool. This isn't going to be too hard to math. Like, how many kilowatt hours of electricity does it take to make a Tesla go a certain distance? Okay. What's the carbon footprint of generating kilowatt hour of electricity, national average in the U.S.? Now, I'm not even taking into consideration losses and all that, but just, let's just look at this, compare it here. My car on straight diesel has a lower carbon footprint per mile than a Tesla does when charged at home, and it's cheaper to drive per mile, and we have the infrastructure. Period. Okay, and it's affordable. So right then and there, the entire leftist narrative on EVs being better for the environment, I crushed it. Now, okay, we can argue maybe there's going to be better battery technology in the future. Yeah, well, that's not now. What do we got now? I can't afford that car. Why can anybody else? Also, I don't like all this government control of autonomous cars where you're pushing it to be where if all the cars can be self-driving and you don't even own your own property anymore, because that is where everything's being pushed. Guess what? You in a car is nothing more than a physical manifestation of the algorithm driving wherever it wants you to go. And I'm not okay with that kind of world. Because who controls that? Not the people, because we're basically, if you talk about the nature of propaganda, young people not being able to know what the world is anymore, not being able to question
That's a big
things.
problem.
Yeah. You ever seen the old sci-fi THX 1138? It was one of George Lucas's early films. It's a really good one. Basically, everybody lives underground. There's this sort of like Jesus-like figure that's a picture that's always talking to everybody. Everybody's on meds. If you go off your meds, they come and get you. Everybody's building some sort of working in a nuclear factory, and everything is programmed and manufactured and propagandized. And the one dude stops taking, it's Robert Duvall, actually. It's a really good film. In the early days, he stops taking his meds, starts having a relationship that's unauthorized with this woman. And there's this big escape scene in the end. It's actually Lola T70 race cars from the 60s, kind of duded up, and dudes on motorcycles, and they're escaping from a tunnel. And the end of the movie's climbing out of this tunnel to the surface.
Wasn't there a remake of that with Leonardo DiCaprio or some shit?
I don't know, but the original
where they all wore the same outfits, like a jumpsuit?
Maybe, but I got to be honest, the original THX 1138 is powerful and it still holds up.
Yeah.
Not a lot of dialogue, so it's real vibey, but it holds up, man. And so the Omega car, it just throws all that for a loop. And okay, that's the one car I built. I built it as a sports car. I realized that people need things like trucks and four-door cars. But here's the other reality of the world. If I built that and it was ugly or it was some boxy or just some dumb thing, nobody care. It needs to be a sexy sports car for people to get it a little bit. Because, I can use those same design and engineering philosophies and various materials.
Well, that's how Tesla got attention, too. People don't remember that. Tesla actually made a cool first car.
Well, and they didn't even really make the car. That was a Lotus Elise that was rebodied and electrified. And it wasn't Elon's company to start with. He technically didn't found Tesla. He founded Tesla. You know what I mean? He bought into it, was smart and knew where to take it. But so there's a direction to go. So last year I tested it, got the numbers, and spoke out. And I spoke out on what I thought about politics and who to vote for and why. So, and here we are. We're talking about it, guys. So
you ended up being you've been on Tucker and some other shit
Tucker
too.
was super cool.
Yeah,
a friend of mine, had. I don't know, shared me his contact one day. It's like, you should have this. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? Just call up Tucker? I'm not going to, and one day I'm thinking, I'm just going to text him, and it was one of those things where it's efficient. It's like, here's who I am. This is where I'm coming from. I respect you and your privacy. This is where I got the number. Here's a couple things I've done. Here's why I think they matter. A little bit more. And it's like, I have no ask of you other than, there's too much at stake out there. Here's what I'm working for. And if you ever in the future you see a resonant way for, me to affect positive change or just share this, I'm all for it. Thanks and appreciate what you're doing. Here's some pictures. Just put my cards on the table and then 3 hours later forgot about it. And dude texted me back the next.
It's funny how well that works.
Well, I'm just being real.
I know.
And respectful.
I know.
Here's what I don't want.
I'm not trying to get anything. Here's what I have.
I respect you.
If there's a place for me.
I've done real stuff, you know. It's like it's hat in hand. It's old school manners. That's the way it is. And he owes me nothing, nothing at all, right? Polite. And so next day text back and I'm like, what the? Oh, cool, And he was totally personable and he's like, wow, those are really charming pictures. Because I sent a couple pictures, just like I would, hey, I'm a real guy, And
you sent him some nudes?
No feet pics?
Yeah, no feet pics. Yeah. You're pretty surprised how far that goes. No, it's just a picture of I don't know, me and family out to dinner, stay on a boat, this picture here of the car you got shown up. Just that. Just a little something to validate. It's like, hey, I'm real. Check up on me. I know a thousand
Nigerian
people
prince.
who can look into me or whatever. Anyway, so next day he does that, sends me a screenshot of like watching one of my videos there and whatnot. He's like, totally cool. Yeah, I'd love to. Let's do a show on efficient diesel or something sometime. I'm like, cool. And it was crazy because later I realized dude was just straight texting me like a normal guy. It's like 3 hours before he did Madison Square Garden with Trump and Elon and everybody back then. So it's cool. It's cool. Everybody's a real person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You just there's ways to be a real person to everybody. You know what I mean?
Dude, 100%, man.
I really do care about young people going somewhere.
Yeah.
And I need more mentorship. I was so thankful to have the family that I did. My dad worked hard. Okay. Hard. People don't think it because it's a golf course. I always got made fun of as a kid. Like, hey,
no,
it's a
bro.
rich kid with your
That's
polo
a
shirt.
ton of work.
I'm like, dude, this is a farm that goes 24/7 in front of the public with thousands of people coming. There's a liquor license. We have to maintain all this machinery, everything. This is insane. They don't get it. You're just a rich kid, right? But anyway, so young people, you got to find a way. You got to find somewhere to go. My granddad was amazing. My great uncle, he flew F-4 Phantoms in Vietnam. Was an amazing guy. Amazing stories. I had strong men in that regard. So I was fortunate to have that. But not everybody has that. Not everybody has anything else. And the internet time's crazy. So I just I think about that sort of thing.
I do too.
And I have my own passions and love. I love race cars, build them, love cars and things like that. But it's perspective. I've got some really nice things. I always like some nicer ones or some more adventures, but at the same time too, that isn't life.
Right.
And with the Omega car, I just saw the change that needed to happen in the world. I knew I could do something that's better. It's just an example, and then talk about it. And we got to do that. And fortunately, I had, I guess, just enough traction or just enough open doors to be able to do that. And that gets in actual real world things to the popular, consensus to talk about it. Because not only is it like breaks the narrative of the left ED thing, which is only about control, period. Only about control for nobody, not the world, not any nation's best interest, global control, which I am so.
That makes you want, so what do you have in mind that you need that kind of control? You see what I'm saying?
One world government.